YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I bring you guys our week 1 matchup here for the GBA. The St. Louis Rampardos are taking on John and the New Orleans Pelippers. If you want to check out my opponent's channel, it is of course in the description below. And definitely make sure you guys hit that like button down below if you guys are hyped for a brand new series or a brand new season of the Global Battle Association. If you recall, last year we ended up making it to the playoffs but lost in the first round, coming off a championship the previous season. So I'm hoping to reclaim my former glory and head smash my way to victory. The Rampardos are back to the GBA as we were the Metapods last season, and I am ready to rock and roll. We have a very good matchup, or a very tough matchup rather, but I'm excited about the matchup against John. He's one of my good pals in the league. I'm really excited to face him, and I got a question of the day today, guys. What are your thoughts on our team? How do you think we're going to do this season? There is 12 weeks of playing. What do you think our record is going to be? Keep in mind, our competition is very, very tough. We've got some tough competitors that we're going to be facing, but I'm very hyped nevertheless. And of course, if you want to check out our team breakdown, I did a team builder for this week's match, and I did a team breakdown where I talk about the team in depth, why I drafted things, and so on and so forth. And then of course the team builder talks about my sets and specific moves for this week against John. So I think all that stuff's out of the way. I'm a little rusty when it comes to battling. I haven't really played anything other than VGC. I haven't played really any Wi-Fi battles in at least a few weeks, and I really never practiced in the new metagame, but it's all good. A lot of this stuff is the same, and actually in my opponent's team, he really only has one new thing, which is Bulu as far as I remember, so I don't think it's going to be too much different than what it's been in the past, but hopefully we can make the right predictions, make the right plays, and hopefully pick up a W. So let me connect my opponent. I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, guys, we are connected with John here, and you can see his team is pretty much what I expected. He decided to bring Jolteon instead of what I thought was going to be Scolipede, but we pretty much nail what his team was going to be, so nothing too surprising there. I figured we'd see most of those threats. In fact, I actually had Jolteon down on my list. That Goodra is probably going to be one of his ways to try to check our Victini, of course, but let's think about our leads here. He does have a form of hazard removal in that Skarmory, so leading Clefable to get a Rocks does seem like a solid idea, but it's less of an importance now that I don't see like a Sneasel or anything like that. So I actually kind of feel like leading Victini might not be a terrible idea, because I could always U-turn out and threaten the Skarm if he leads with that. Also threaten the Bulu right away and force him to do some switching shenanigans if I want to. I kind of like the Victini lead actually for a lot of reasons, because it'll beat the Jolteon. I can Blue Flare the Bulu. If he leads Goodra, I just switch out anyway. So let's do that. I kind of like leading Victini here. It will reveal that we're Scarfed if he kind of sees that coming, but it's not too big of a deal. I could definitely do that, and if he leads like Skarmory, like I said, I can either U-turn out or try to put some pressure on with Blue Flare, see if we can hit that Goodra or something like that. We have a couple different options. Gonna really have to try to break down that Goodra though. We've got our Terrakion for that. Clefable's there. I could pretty much hopefully wall it with Toxapex, so we'll see what kind of sets he brings, but very excited for this matchup. Like I said, it's been a long time since I did one of these battles, so I'm definitely a bit rusty, so bear with me there, but hopefully it'll come out okay. I'll be able to hang in there. He's got the sweet Sanigas shirt on, which definitely shows that he is a baller. He's ready to rock and roll. He's going to lead with Usain Bolt, which is, of course, going to be his Jolteon here. I'm going to lead with my my Victini. Now, is he going to predict me to be Scarfed on the first turn? That is the question, because if I Blue Flare here and knock him out, then that will be a dead Jolteon. But will he predict that is the question, because actually, Blue Flare wouldn't even kill. I'm thinking I'm just going to U-turn here. I'm thinking that's going to be my best play, just U-turn and then go right into something to take a Shadow Ball. The other option, I definitely could take a Shadow Ball, so I could Blue Flare. I could also Psychic if I wanted to, and try to hit that Goodra with a Psychic or something like that. It does 2-hit KO this thing, so I could go and hit him with a Psychic. That's not really going to do too much to Goodra, so tough play here right off the bat. Do I want to go for the U-turn, get some damage off on the Jolteon and switch out, or do I want to just hit him really hard with a Blue Flare? Since I led Victini, he may be thinking that I am Scarfed, so we've got a couple options there. He's got a couple good switch-ins to Blue Flare as well, so I'm definitely leaning towards the U-turn. It's just a matter of what I go into after that. I guess I can go into Clefable to try to sponge some hits against Jolteon. I mean, if he's not Specs, I should be able to take really anything, especially if he's not Specs. So I'm thinking that we're just going to go for the U-turn here. I'm going to make the safe U-turn play. He is going to switch out here, so he's probably going to go Goodra or Milotic, and he does go Tom Brady, which is going to be his Milotic. Okay, great. So we're going to get the U-turn off here. Didn't need to do any crazy over predictions at the beginning there. Just get a nice crit on the U-turn. That might take away his ability to determine what kind of set we were. And I really want to take this opportunity to get my Stealth Rocks up. So I think I'm going to go into Deborah here. Going into Deborah, getting my Rocks up is definitely a nice play. I could go into Rotten Burgundy and try to go for a Power Whip and scare him out immediately with a Power Whip. The problem is his Goodra probably has some sort of response to that, so I have to be a little bit careful with that. I could go into Terrakion and just click close combat and just try to get as much damage off as possible, but I really like Deborah here to get up my rocks. I think getting my rocks up is going to be super useful to wear down his team. I just don't want to lose momentum right now. That's really my focus, is I don't want to lose any momentum. Ron Burgundy does put on some pressure. It's just Anchor Shot's not going to do a ton to Goodra, and I'm pretty sure he's just going to go straight into a Sap Sip or Goodra there, and if that happens, then I could switch into Tarak, but that doesn't seem that great. I think getting on my Stealth Rocks is super important at this point in the match. Even if he can defog them away, just getting them up is worth it to me. So we see lefties on his Milotic, so not too surprising there. Let's just make a note of that. We see the lefties, and I'm gonna just go for the Stealth Rocks here, and if that just brings in Skarmory, that's totally fine. It'll force him to defog if he has it, but getting on my rocks, in my opinion, is worth losing a little bit of momentum here, because it does whittle down his team a little bit and kind of help with some of the KOs I need with things like Feraligatr and stuff. And if he does go Skarm, then I could just go back into Victini and put a lot of pressure on with things like Blue Flare, or simply U-turn out, or I can even Thunder if I want to chance that, because Thunder obviously has a chance to get the para, 30% chance to para, which is quite nice. So we do have some options there before I unleash the beasts like Terrakion and stuff. But if Skarm comes in, actually I could go Terrakion, but he may have the Brave Bird, so we'll have to kind of keep that in mind. He also could have like a Steel Wing or something, but unless he's running some sort of offensive Skarm, it's not going to really do too much. Now, this is actually, I think, the first time I've ever used a Clefable in a battle, guys, if I'm being totally honest. It's never been a Pokemon that stood out to me as a Pokemon to try, but it's definitely got a lot of bulk. So we'll see what he's going to go into. Here comes the Usain Bolt, which is that Jolteon here. Maybe he thought I was going to make a switch, but I'm just going to get my rocks up, so totally fine by me. I get my rocks up. I'm pretty bulky, so I don't really think this Jolteon can do a ton to me. I'm not too concerned, so I can go for a Flamethrower here, predicting the Skarmory switch in, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to fire off a Flamethrower here, predicting the Skarmory to come in. He just goes to the Volt Switch. We'll find out whether he's Specs or whether he is Life Orb variant, and he doesn't indicate any item there. So let's take a look at a calc on that one. Jolteon, Volt Switching. That does look like it's probably... is that Specs? I don't think that was quite Specs damage, if I'm being totally honest. Might have been Timid Specs. Here comes Excalibur, which is his Skarm. This is gonna allow us to get a Flamethrower off here and hit this thing super effective. Not gonna do a ton, unless he's like full Fizz Def, and actually that's a great amount of damage. Was that a crit? That was not a crit, so we actually put his Skarmory in a situation where we can just hit him with some Flamethrowers here and knock him out on this turn if we want to. Now, I don't know if he's gonna predict that and make a switch here, but I really lose nothing by just clicking Flamethrower again, so if he wants to get up hazards, that's fine, but Flamethrower does pick up the kill here at this point in time, so I'm just gonna go for the Flamethrower. No need to over-predict, but I do kind of want to go back to, yeah, I don't think that's Specs. I don't think it's Specs, Jolteon, if I'm being totally honest. Maybe Zap Plate or something similar to that, but I don't think it's Specs, if I'm being totally honest at this point in the match. So we're gonna go for Flamethrower again here against this Skarm, see if we can pick up the kill. Now, he could go into Milotic again, but Milotic is not in the best situation against me. There's a switch into probably Goodra. Yeah, here comes Goodra, the Slime Shady. Not too surprising to see the Goodra come out. It's gonna take rocks damage. He'll take a Flamethrower, not gonna do too much. I could have predicted the Moonblast there, but really wasn't worth it. We'll hit a nice Flamethrower here. Not gonna do a ton considering it's a Goodra. And we get a lucky burn there. So that is actually gonna be huge for us, because we're gonna basically whittle this thing down, and we'll see if he has a leftovers. He's probably like an AV type set, but we're gonna whittle this thing down, and if he does have any physical moves, we'll definitely weaken him there. I'm definitely leaning towards a soft boiled here just to kind of keep it safe. I don't really think there's much a Goodra can do to me though. Like the worst thing he could do is probably like a Sludge Bomb or a Sludge Wave. He could do that. Both of those would do a good amount. So actually let's Soft Boil just to scout out what he's gonna do. He does actually go for the Thunderbolt, expecting me to go into, and that's actually really offensive there. Yeah, that looks about to be like a modest Sap Sipper variant, or a modest Assault Vest variant. So we'll get the health back there, no problem. Burn starts to rack up here. And now is about when I would expect him to go for that Sludge Wave. If I'm being totally honest, I'm thinking he'll probably do that. Again, I can stall him out though pretty easily, I think, with Soft Boileds. It's just a matter of whether I want to take the Sludge Wave or not right now. Because Clefable really matches up well against this team, but I'm pretty sure that's what's coming, is a Sludge Wave. Venomax, I don't want to bring in Venomax just yet. I kind of want to keep Clefable in here. I just don't want to get two-shot by a Sludge Wave. That's the only thing that worries me right now. I could make a really interesting play here into Terrakion, which could be kind of cool. I could make an interesting play into Terrakion, because realistically a Sludge Bomb's not going to do much, and I could immediately threaten him out with a close combat at that point in time, and potentially pick up a kill. So it's a matter of whether I want to try that. I kind of want to try that, because I feel like, I mean, what would his switch in be? He can't switch in Skarm at this point in time, so I really like the offensive play into Terrakion to take a Sludge Wave. So I'm going to go for that. I'm going to switch into Terrakion here and see what he wants to do. Expecting Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave. I just don't want to get two-shot with Clefable, and I don't think going for Moonblast here is the right play. So here comes that Sludge Wave, not surprising to see that. Should be able to take it no problem. And hopefully no poisons. Sweet, no poison, he gets some burn damage there. And let's make some notes here on the Goodra. We saw T-Bolt and we saw Sludge Wave. So I know I'm faster, so I really feel like setting up a substitute here is a good play. Because Terrakion's close combat does knock him out after one more turn of burn, it looks like. So it's really a win-win by substituting here. So I'm just gonna go for the sub. Yeah, I think that's the right play. I'm definitely faster. And if he switches, then it gives me a free shot off on something. Because if I go +2, instead of a Swords Dance in front of the Bulu, I don't think Bulu's taking a Rockium Z at +2. No, it's not. So we actually will one-shot the Bulu at +2 if I get a Swords Dance up too. So we'll get the substitute off here. If he wants to save his Slime Shady and switch it out, that's fine. If he wants to keep it in, again, I can close combat it on the following turn and try to knock it out. And Bulu is not gonna like taking these hits from Mr. Terrakion here, especially after I get a substitute up. And again, I don't believe even Skarmory can come in at this point because it's going to take rocks damage. We weaken it down a pretty good amount, so Skarmory's not going to want to come in and take a close combat either. So making that aggressive play to Terrakion there was definitely a good decision. You know, pretty much was guaranteed he was going to have that. So we're going to go for the substitute here. If he does, you know, hit us and break our sub, it's not a huge deal. He does just drop a Draco. He does connect the Draco Meteor. But this is going to be interesting because this might actually give me an opportunity to stall out his Draco Meteors now that he's -2, because now I can take a Thunderbolt, now I can take a Dragon Pulse, I can take everything but a Draco Meteor, and at -4 I can potentially take a Draco Meteor. So we're actually in a decent spot here because I can simply set up another sub here. I'm in pretty good shape to do that. There's really no reason for me not to. He could have priority on the Infernape, but he would knock us out either way. So I'm thinking I just want to substitute again. I could also just go for the Swords Dance now, but I kind of want to sub again, I think, and see what he wants to do. He knows I'm gonna sub. Let's do sub again. Again, I don't really lose much by doing this, and if I can get his Draco Meteors to be even further lowered, like if he lowers his special attack a few more times, or if he misses a Draco Meteor, we are gonna put a tremendous amount of offensive pressure on his team here. So I'm hoping, I feel like the sub is definitely the safest play. I don't want to chance the damage roll yet on the close combat. In one more turn I will. One more turn I'll close combat, I think. Or maybe I'll try subbing 2 more times. We'll sub and then sub 1 more time and then go for the close combat. Yeah, and then on the following turn I have my Rockium Z. So if he misses a Draco or anything like that, we're gonna be in good shape. So here comes the Draco again. He does connect it. Should break our sub this time, but now we're playing with a damage roll whether his next one will break our sub or not. So that's fine by me. He's gonna be at -4 now. So -4 Draco Meteor does have a chance to break a substitute, but it really depends on his spread. So I'm thinking that my best play here is simply just to, you know, set up another sub, if I'm being totally honest. Because if he doesn't break the sub, then we're gonna be in such a good spot. So let's try that. He's gonna switch this time, so I'll get my sub up regardless, and in comes Tom Brady, which is the, what, Tarak? No, this was the Milotic, okay. So here comes the Milotic. And I'm gonna get my substitute up, and the bummer with this is now he's gonna be able to kind of set up on me, but it's all good because what I can do now is I can set up a Swords Dance and there's nothing he could do about it. He may have haze, but it doesn't really matter. And close combat will definitely knock him out, I'd imagine. Let me take a look at standard or fully defensive Milotic. Fully defensive Milotic at +2. He can take a close combat, but he can't take a Rockium Z. So I'm just gonna go for the Swords Dance here. And then we're gonna bust out our Rockium Z Stone Edge, I think. Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna go for the Swords Dance behind the sub. And we've weakened his Goodra a good amount, and if we can get rid of this Milotic here, that is gonna be huge. That is going to be very, very big. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go for the Rockium Z Stone Edge though. I don't think that going for the close combat will be the right play, because close combat does 83 to 99, so it's a damage roll on where he's at right now. I think it would kill, so it's a matter of whether I want to burn my Rock EMZ or not, but I think it's worth just using it at this point, because he's going to bring an Infernape after this, or Jolteon, and they'll revenge kill me either way, so it's not really going to matter. I think I should just burn my my Z move now. So here comes his Scald. I don't want to chance the lack of hitting here, so pretty sure my safe play here is simply just to burn my Rock EMZ and just try to knock out this Milotic, especially now that I've seen the leftovers. I think that's our play. So Terrakion put on some pressure, not as quite as much as I would have liked, but let's fire off that Z move. We're gonna do our Continental Crush here and try to get rid of this Milotic. And he is gonna switch out, so he's gonna have something else take it. Is it gonna be the Scarm? Yeah, so he's gonna actually sack off the Scarm here. So he'll burn his, or we'll burn our Rock EMZ against the Scarm, which is a bummer, but fair enough to him for saving it. So Terrak kills Skarmory with Continental Crush. Okay, so we get rid of the Scarm, so John plays that pretty well, if I'm being totally honest. He kind of saw that that was coming, and I didn't really take as much advantage of Terrak as I could have. It would have been nice if I could have gotten another sub up, but he really was able to save his other two Pokemon, and I mean, I'm glad that Skarmory's gone now, because that makes things a little bit easier for stuff like my for Alligator. So Jolteon's definitely coming in at this point in time. I'm pretty sure he's gonna bring in Jolteon. I don't have to worry about hazards now, which is quite nice. And I could save my Terrakion, and I may do that. Let's see what he does. I'm pretty sure Jolteon's coming in though. Because Jolteon can come in, I can simply Volt Switch out and try to give him some momentum. I could go into my Anchorman, my Ron Burgundy, to take the Volt Switch. He could also Shadow Ball to predict that. So maybe getting rid of my Terrakion is the best case scenario, is actually just sacking it at this point. But we'll see what he does. Because Terrakion definitely puts on some pressure. It can really hurt the Milotic and can really dent the Goodra as well. So here comes Jojo, which is the Infernape. So if he doesn't have priority, then we basically have a speed tie here. So I'm not too concerned, actually, since this is what comes out. I'm going into Venomax here. He could go for the Earthquake and predict that. Do I want to chance the speed tie here? I don't think he would chance the speed tie, if I'm being honest. So I kind of want to save Havoc and go into Venomax here. And then I can get a Scald off. The other option would be go to Debra. But really, Venomax's purpose here is to help check this thing. So I really feel safe going into that, and then I can actually Toxic anything, except for the Goodra. But Goodra can't really do much to me. The other option would be go to Debra. It's just I don't want to switch into Venomax and take an Earthquake. He's not going to use the Z move right now. Would he chance a speed tie here? Because this is a speed tie all the way if he doesn't have priority. He's got to have priority though. Debra takes both any form of priority that he has though, which is nice. And he can take any hit and fire off a Moonblast and really put some pressure on him. I do like that play. Debra actually, I think I'm gonna go into Debra here. Cause he's not gonna Gunk Shot and I can live any move he has. Let's go to Debra. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Debra. I think it's worth saving. I don't wanna go into Venomax just yet. But that's a speed tie, so we'll see what he does. He has the Earthquake, so he does predict me going into my Venomax. Does just go for the Earthquake, which is very interesting because that could have been a very interesting play there. I'm very surprised that he went for that, but now we know that the Infernape has Earthquake. Not too surprising there, and I'm pretty sure it's a Z user, so at this point in time, he could easily go Bulu here. He could also stay in and try to do some damage. Infernape. I could go for a Moonblast here and do like a 2-hit KO. I don't want to allow his Bulu to come in for free, but at the same time, Moonblast actually hits it relatively hard. So I think Moonblast is the right play here, just to get as much damage off as I can. If he goes to the Gunk Shot, I actually think I can live a Gunk Shot at this range. So we should be able to get a nice Moonblast off here and weaken this thing. Put him into range for the Aqua Jet, which is again our focus here, is to get for Alligator in and be able to set up on some of his Pokemon and hopefully sweep. But yeah. So once we get this Milotic whittled down a little bit more, we'll be in really good shape. But this is going to be an interesting couple turns here. We got rid of that Scarm, which was very nice. Terrakion's still around, which is great too, because we can put some offensive pressure on it as a revenge killer if something goes down against one of his slower threats. Because he's not going to have too many switch into that thing. It's just such a bummer that I wasted my Z move already, but he's going to switch most likely into Bulu, or yeah, so here comes the Bulu. I could have Flamethrowered. I wanted to Flamethrower. but it just wasn't worth it. So he's gonna take some Stealth Rocks, gonna set up his Grassy Surge, his Grassy Terrain, and let's see, I don't know if I can live a hit from this thing. I mean, it's a Tapu Bulu, it's very powerful. Wood Hammer does knock me out at this range. Horn Leech does not though. We get a nice amount of damage off there. And you'll see a little bit of HP get back here from the Grassy Terrain. I don't think we saw lefties on him, but also, okay, so we saw the Grassy Terrain. So after all that, I actually am living okay here. I have no reason not to just Flamethrower here. I could definitely put some hurting on him. The only thing he could really do is, I mean, I can go into my Toxapex against this thing. And I could take a hit with Toxapex. But even Horn Leech and Wood Hammer do just a tremendous amount of damage. So really, Clefable's gonna be taking it about as good as anything. And if he wants the Wood Hammer, he'll take the damage too. So I'm gonna Flamethrower. I'm just gonna try to get as much. This Tapu Bulu is so scary, man. I don't wanna switch around too much around it because it hits so hard in Grassy Terrain. I should be able to live one hit, unless he is like Banded or Meadow Plate Wood Hammer. But in that case, if he does that, then he gets so weakened at that point that I could easily revenge kill. So he's gonna go for the Horn Leech here, so he's gonna go for the Recovery. And wow, that does so much damage, dude. That just does so much damage. You're gonna see him get almost, he gets actually all the way back up to full. I'll get a Flamethrower off here, but you can just see how strong this Tapu Bulu is. It's very scary. It does a good amount to us, but Clefable is going to be able to hit him back here, get a little bit of love back with the lefties and the you know, kind of the grassy terrain and stuff like that. So what I'm thinking of here is I can make a switch into Victini and try to take on this Tapu Bulu at this point in time. Victini can take a Horn Leech, takes about 40% from it. At that point in time, I could then fire off a Blue Flare or a U-turn to try to get momentum again. I could also just let Deborah go down. I kind of want to keep Deborah alive though, because I think that Deborah can actually be used as death fodder later and also help me against things like the Goodra. Although actually Goodra's faster. Do I just let it go down? I think I just let Deborah go down. I think I just let it go down, get a free switch into victory. That's the thing though, if I make the wrong play and go into Victini here and he like Stone Edges, we're gonna be in trouble. And then I have to make a decision with the U-turn / Blue Flare play. At this range, Blue Flare will be enough, I believe, to knock him out. Yeah, Blue Flare definitely knocks him out at this range. So I do have that option if I go into Victini, but he just has an easy switch into Milotic basically every time if Victini comes in at this point in time, so really not the best scenario to be in. This Tapu Bulu is just so scary. I do like Victini, but again, it's the same scenario. If Victini comes in, Victini's in trouble. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make the play into Victini here, but I am very well aware that this Tapu Bulu could definitely put some work in. It's gonna hurt. This grassy, this Horn Leech is definitely gonna hurt. So he's gonna go for the Horn Leech, and you're gonna see it probably do about 40%. Yeah, it's just ridiculous how much this thing does. And he's gonna get a lot of health back. So now I've got to make a decision here. Do I Blue Flare or do I U-turn? This is a very important turn in this match here. The Blue Flare guarantees the kill on the Bulu. The U-turn gives me momentum and basically means I can knock out one of his other threats. I have a feeling he's gonna save his Tapu Bulu and switch out because he's got a couple Pokemon that can, like Goodra for example, is a great switch in. I don't believe at this range Victini can two-hit Goodra, knowing he's Assault Vested. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna do like 15% to him. We're not really gonna do anything to him. And then I gotta make a really tough switch after that. So as a result of that, I'm really feeling like U-turn's my best play, but the problem is if I U-turn and he stays in, I'm in a lot of trouble. I really wanna go for the, what do I wanna do here? Tough play. This is the tough one. This is the tough one. Milotic's a safe switch in for him too. I feel like he saves Tapu Bulu here. He has to save Tapu Bulu. I'm gonna U-turn. I'm gonna assume that he's staying in, or he's gonna switch out. I'm gonna U-turn. I'm gonna make the safe play. I'll make the safe play here. I really want to gain momentum. If he stays in, then that'll be definitely kind of a bummer because I would have had a chance to knock out this Bulu, which is gonna be one of the bigger threats that I have to deal with right now. But I do think he's gonna switch out. Just the chance of him going into like Goodra or Milotic, they really stop Victini very well. So to me, it just makes the most sense, and a V-Create would just destroy him right now. He actually doesn't know if I'm physical or special yet. He does switch out, so we make the right play there by going for U-turn. In comes Tom Brady, which is his Milotic here, so we make the right play. We're gonna be able to switch out here. We get to get a nice U-turn off, get a little bit of momentum here, which is quite nice, and we're in a situation actually right now where, what is his Jolteon at, and how much does Jolteon take from Feraligatr at +2 Aqua Jet? It's not going to do nearly enough to Jolteon at this point in time. So actually it's close. Aqua Jet at +2 is close to knocking out Jolteon. This could be my opportunity to go into Bursidon. The other option is going to Ron Burgundy here, but I don't really like that play. I kind of like going into Debra. I kind of like Debra here because I can get a soft boiled up and kind of increase the longevity of Debra. So let's do that. It could just get him back into Bulu though, which could be quite annoying, but that's interesting. Do I think he's just gonna go Bulu again? Do I think he's gonna go Bulu? I kind of want him to go Bulu because he's gonna lose his grassy terrain here pretty soon. And once he's got that gone, it's much easier to deal with. I kind of want a Flamethrower, actually. I think I'm gonna Flamethrower, predicting the Bulu coming in. Because really, what can I do to him with Debra otherwise? He can't knock me out in one hit. So I'm just gonna Flamethrower, predicting the Bulu. Because if he comes in now, his grassy terrain's gonna run out pretty soon, and I can potentially stall him out at that point in time, or at least have a better chance of switching into things like Venemax and stuff like that. Can take the hits a little bit better. I can go for a Toxic and try to wear him down, which would be really clutch getting that off. So this is an okay play here. I do like the Flamethrower into the Bulu, put a little bit more offensive pressure on him, weaken him a little bit. His terrain should end on this turn and the next turn. Yeah, he's got one more turn of terrain left, so I know Milotic can't knock me out in one hit, so I don't have to soft boiled yet. And really, Clefable at this point is just meant to be a nuisance. Like, it's not... It got rocks up. Rocks are up now permanently. You know, once this Bulu loses its opportunity, he's gonna actually stay in its Scald. So, not a big deal. You'll see that it does actually a decent amount. We'll get the Flamethrower off. I'm pretty sure I can live one more though. And he makes a smart play of waiting and not going into Bulu there, because I think he knew the terrain was gonna end. But we will get the leftovers and grassy terrain recovery, and I think that'll be enough that we can live a hit. And he might have predicted me to switch there too. That could have been an option, that he thought I was gonna make a play into Victini there or something, which I did think about, but it wasn't the right time to do that. I really do want a Flamethrower into the Bulu here, to be perfectly honest. I really do. But I also feel like I want to go for a soft boiled here to just ensure my longevity against this Milotic. Because 2 more Scalds could knock me out. I just don't want to give him that free switch into Bulu, but that's looking like what he's going to get here if he does switch. He could make the switch into Bulu. I could also just Flamethrower again. Moonblast actually did a decent amount to Bulu too, so that wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Just to go for the Moonblast, kind of a neutral play. Because really, this thing cannot touch my Toxapex. You know what? Let's actually switch into Toxapex. Because I could take 1 hit from the Bulu and potentially like get a Toxic off on it, and that'll be really sweet. So let's do that. Looks like he stays in here, and he's probably gonna just go for the Scald. But we're gonna get our Venemax in here for the first time this season, and he just goes for the Scald. So a burn would definitely be annoying here. It'll take away from our longevity, but we'll see what happens. Does not get a burn. Okay. So I get a free Toxic here on something, and I'm thinking that the Bulu's coming in, but he's got to be a little bit weary. He could also go into the Goodra, but if Goodra comes in, I can work around it. I'm not too concerned about Goodra at this point in time, especially with Delmai still around. And Goodra's weak at this point. So I'm just gonna make the safe play and go for the Toxic here. He's gonna switch out, most likely into the Goodra. In comes Usain Bolt, so that's actually fine. I get a nice Toxic off on this Jolteon, which could be very useful. Hopefully I don't miss. I do connect it, very nice. So we're going to get a Toxic off on the Jolteon now. And this is an interesting play here because he could do a number of different things. The Volt Switch or the T-Bolt is probably the best play for him. If I had to pick one. I do kind of like, I could just sack off Debra at this point in time, which is what I'm thinking I want to do, because I don't want to just go into Ron Burgundy and take a Shadow Ball to the face. I think Burgundy is actually going to be pretty useful in this match. I haven't really used it too much because I've been concerned about the Goodra, but I think that it can actually do a lot of work. So I think this is my time to sack off Debra here. And just let him switch in whatever he wants to switch in. Yeah, I think this is the right time to do that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna switch into Debra. I don't want to lose my Venemax at this point in time. I still have a Shuckle Berry for the Infernape, so that's pretty important. So let's go into Debra here and see what he wants to do. Here comes the Volt Switch. I don't think we're living this, but there's a chance we live on a Sliver. We do live on 2, actually, which is great because that gives us a little bit, an extra turn to basically see what he wants to do here. So, not too shabby. Let's see what he wants to do. He could go into Bulu and just try to put the off. Here comes the Bulu. So, I'm going to get my anchor in here after this, and I'm going to go for an anchor shot then. And you can see that we are whittling him away. And the nice thing about this is he's not going to get a ton of recovery back with the Horn Leech this time. So, and I can anchor shot, and actually, anchor shot into the Goodra is not terrible either. So we have some options. But I'm pretty sure he just knocks us out here. I am going to have to attack, though, just to be safe, so he doesn't set up like a sub or something. So we are just going to go for the flamethrower here. And if he knocks us out, it's totally fine. Like I said, at this point, I'm sacking it off. So Bulu, Wood Hammer into Clefable. So he just goes to the Wood Hammer knowing that he's going to take very little damage from that. And he'll get a little bit of grassy terrain recovery here. Now we just go into Ron Burgundy, and I can anchor shot. And really, there's not a whole lot that wants to come in on this, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, he could go into his Infernape at this point in time, but I'm less concerned about that. I think I just anchor shot here. I mean, how much does it do? Because Infernape isn't gonna want to take an anchor shot either, I don't think. Like, after Stealth Rocks and stuff, because he's getting weakened. So yeah, anchor shot's gonna do like 40% max, so that's not terrible. So I'm just gonna anchor shot here, because if he goes into my Lodic, that's totally fine. I can power whip it. If he goes into, yeah, I'm just gonna make the safe play and anchor shot here. He's gonna switch out either Infernape or Goodra. Here comes Slime Shady, predicting the grass type move potentially, which is fine by me. I'm gonna get the big anchor shot off here, and he's not gonna be able to switch out. So he's guaranteed stuck here, which is quite nice. An anchor shot's gonna come in. It's going to do a good amount to the Slime Shady and just straight up knock him out. So sweet stuff there. Delmise kills Goodra with anchor shot. Cool. So Goodra's down. Get rid of that guy. And Jolteon, basically what I need to do now at this point in the match is I need to get Feraligatr in against the Milotic, and I need to set up a Swords Dance, and we sweep at that point in time. If I can beat the Milotic one-on-one, which is gonna be tough, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm basically just trying to find that opportunity to weaken the Milotic enough for Feraligatr to come in and set up. Feraligatr might be able to set up on Ape, and that could be really good too. So we've got the Infernape and the Milotic to potentially set up on, because I don't think Infernape can knock me out in one hit. But here comes the Mojo Jojo, which is Infernape. Now, last time he went for Earthquake. Now, keep in mind, Earthquake's damage is reduced right now because we are in the terrain. So I get a pretty safe switch into Venomax now. That could be my easy play here, because if he goes for a ground type move, it's really not that big of a deal. And the fire type move is way more likely. So let's go into Venomax. We'll make the super safe play here, because I think Ron Burgundy still has some usefulness, especially against the Bulu, because he doesn't have the greatest switch-ins to that thing. And now that he doesn't have Goodra, I can freely power whip. So he does make the Flare Blitz play here. We're going to see that come off. He'll take some recoil damage. Shouldn't do too much. It does a decent amount, but not a ton. So he gets a crit there. So that's actually going to wear him down a little bit more. We'll get a little bit of health back here, and he's got to know I have this berry. He's just got to know. I'm pretty sure we can take a ground EMZ at this point, which is what I'm expecting him to do. My play here is probably just a Scald, though. Just get as much damage off as I can. Going for Toxic would be nice too, but I think Scald is the proper play. Let's just run a quick calc and see how much Scald does to Infernape. Scald is going to do like 50%. So, and I just want to see if he does Earthquake and Grassy Terrain is up, and he goes for the Z move. So the Z move actually does negate the Grassy Terrain, and he's going to do 61 to 72%. I'm at 127 out of 157. So, wait, what am I? Hold on, let me just double check that I'm calculating this proper. Yep, so that's 80%. We're sitting at 80%, and his Earthquake is not going to kill us at this point in time. So he could go for Ground EMZ here if he wants to, and that's what I'm expecting. I think I'm just going to Scald, because I think I can take it. Or actually, I know I can take it. He's going to switch. So he makes a switch here, probably into the... No, he goes into the Jolteon, so I actually had a feeling that the Jolteon was going to come out. So at least we get the... Stealth Rock's wearing him down. We're getting a Scald off here. Now, Jolteon's not the bulkiest thing in the world, so that'll weaken him a little bit. Get him down to about 50%. I'll take some Toxic damage, and we'll be in decent shape there. Now, the question is, can Toxapex take a hit from a Jolteon right now? No, under no circumstances am I living a hit from this thing. So I've got to figure out what I'm switching into, because he basically can just Volt Switch now. And I have to figure out what to go into. I do still like Havoc in this match. I like a lot of the things that I have. It's just a matter of what I think is the best thing to switch in here, because I need to weaken that Milotic, and that's going to be the thing that's the struggle. I could go into Ron Burgundy, our Delmise here. I could give him a free switch in though. So if he's timid max, he goes for Shadow Ball against Ron Burgundy, I can definitely take it. I just don't want to give him that free switch. This is a tough play. So I don't want to let Venomax go down yet, because I think it actually has some usability still, especially when it comes to Toxing the Milotic. It comes in against that thing every time. I do like Ron Burgundy quite a bit. I don't know how much I'm gonna need Havoc at this point in time. I actually think that maybe sacking off Havoc wouldn't be a bad idea, because Havoc, the only thing it's gonna do is dent the Milotic, but it's not really gonna make a huge difference. So I think I'm gonna sack off Havoc. Is that what I want to do? Yeah, that's my play. I'm gonna go into Havoc here and just sack it off. I think that's the right play, because I don't want to lose Venomax, and I don't want Ron Burgundy to take unnecessary damage. I can't allow that, because if it goes down, it's one of my important pieces right now. So he'll Volt Switch and knock us out. So Jolteon kills Terrakion with Volt Switch. So this Jolteon has just been Volt Switching like crazy. So me not having my Gliscor has been a bit unfortunate to stop that, but I'm sure it's carrying HP Ice either way. Now, what does he go into is the question. Does he go into his Bulu here? Does he go into that Milotic? Does he try to go into Infernape? A couple different things there. The good thing is he's running out of things to switch into Victini's Blue Flare once I get rid of the Milotic. Victini's Blue Flare actually kind of just cleans at this point, or at least Psychic. I don't think Psychic does much to the Milotic, but Dhelmise is looking really good against the rest of his team too. If I can get off a Power Whip into the Milotic slot, but pretty sure he's not going to allow me to do that. He'll probably switch into something else. But I could also Anchor Shot it, because Milotic can't touch Dhelmise. So once I Anchor Shot him, he's locked in, and all he'll do is Scald me. So I can get rid of the Milotic. So really what I should be trying to do is trap him with Dhelmise Anchor Shot. Here comes Moto Jojo. So here comes the Infernape. And it's going to take Rocks damage again. Start to get worn down here. This is an opportunity for me to go into my Brosidon and set up a Swords Dance and try to go for the sweep here. It's a doable sweep at this point in time. I'm trying to think. He's got Earthquake, Flare Blitz, definitely Ground EMZ. Is this the time I pull the trigger with Brosidon, or do I simply go into Venomax here and just take the Ground EMZ, fire off a Scald, and try to knock him out? I could also go to Victini, threaten him out with a Psychic. At this point in time, Victini can definitely scare him with a Psychic, and he probably knows I'm Scarfed. How much am I gonna do to my Milotic with a Psychic? Not too much, like 30%, but that damage could be crucial actually, so I kinda like that play. I kinda like Victini coming in, going for a Psychic. I could also chance the Thunder and into Infernape. I'm pretty sure that'll kill. No, it doesn't. I'd have to Psychic to kill the Infernape at this point. And I don't want Bulu coming in. That Milotic is definitely getting lower though. I like the Psychic play with Victini here. Is that what I want to do? I don't think pulling the trigger on Brosidon is the time yet. It's not ready yet. I gotta wait. I gotta weaken the Milotic just a little tiny bit more. I could Venomax here and just try to weaken this thing more, but I do like the Victini play and just going for Psychic. I think that's an okay play here. It's kind of like a middle ground, safer play. And if I U-turn out, then his Milotic's in trouble. So I'm just gonna go for the Psychic here. And I don't think this is a Scarf Ape at this point in time. I haven't seen that. I'm pretty sure he's Ground EMZ. So the Psychic here will be able to put some pressure onto the Milotic, and we can definitely fire off a couple hits onto that, and potentially get a Spit F drop that could guarantee the kill. After Rocks, like that Milotic, I don't remember exactly where it's at, but it's definitely gonna be sitting pretty low after a Psychic and the Rocks damage coming in. Although it might, I'm trying to remember how much it got back from grassy terrain and stuff, but I think this is the right play either way. It's the safest play. If he stays in with Infernape expecting me to U-turn, trying to get a big hit off on something, then I don't lose anything there. Yeah, I mean, I really don't lose anything by just clicking Psychic, so that's what I'm going for. Because the only thing he switches in is Milotic, really. That's the only thing that worries me, him switching in. And like I said, it does about 30% roughly. So a couple of those could be good. I could take a Scald at this range too, so I can get 2 Psychics off if I need him. He's gonna actually go for the Earthquake, so he is Scarfed Infernape. So we get confirmation it is a Scarf Infernape. I gotta give my opponent props there. I'm gonna live on 15, which is quite nice, but I gotta give my opponent props for carrying Scarf Infernape. I was expecting it to be the Groundium Z this entire time, but I'll take it. Victini kills Infernape with Psychic, and that's actually huge. That's actually really, really huge. Wow, that was a big deal. Getting rid of that Infernape there and living on just a sliver of health. Just living on a tiny sliver. And that's really gonna help out our Victini here. Here comes Tabu Brooks, which is the Bulu again. Now I'm curious what he wants to do here with this Tabu Bulu slot. He's gonna take rocks damage, set up his terrain. Obviously I can't go for the, I can't really do a whole lot at this point in time. I think what I wanna do is just sack off Venemax at this point. Because basically what I gotta do is I gotta get Ron Burgundy in. And once Ron Burgundy's in, like, it really just threatens his entire team here. I think keeping Victini around is important though, because bringing Victini back in and going for Blue Flare, Victini beats two of his last 3. Venemax doesn't really beat anything. So I'm gonna go into Venemax here and basically just sack it off. Because Venemax loses to 2 of 3. So let's do that. I think keeping Victini around is worth it. I think it's worth it. And this will give me a free switch into my Delmise, which can then go for the Anchor Shot and guarantee that something's getting trapped in. So here comes the Woodhammer. This is gonna hurt. This is definitely gonna hurt. And he's just gonna one-shot us with a crit there. So that's actually not that bad though. Bulu kills Toxapex with Woodhammer. That's not that bad because now I weakened him to a point where like I could totally come in and revenge kill with something else. So I basically go into Ron Burgundy here. And do I lose anything by just power whipping? I don't really think there's any reason for me not to just power whip. Yeah, how much do I do to Jolteon? I think I actually will kill Jolteon at this point too with an Anchor Shot. So I'm going into Ron Burgundy here. I'm gonna click Anchor Shot. There's no reason not to. Because the worst thing that happens is he goes into Milotic, but then Milotic's trapped in, and I get a Power Whip off and knock that thing out. And once that thing's gone, we are in a much better situation. So I'm just going to Anchor Shot here. And if he goes into Jolteon, I don't think Jolteon's living Anchor Shot plus Stealth Rocks plus Toxic Damage. Although it may just because of the terrain, but I'm AV, so I know I can take any hit from the Jolteon. So I'm a little less concerned about that. It's just a matter of being able to beat this Bulu here, which I know Victini can beat. And once Milotic's gone, Bulu basically, or Victini sweeps once Bulu's gone with Blue Flare. So we're in a decent situation here. I still have my Feraligatr, which hasn't seen the field yet, and Feraligatr is going to be my option to set up in front of the Milotic. He's going to go for the Woodhammer here. We are going to take it relatively decent, I guess, and we're going to get an Anchor Shot off here and knock this thing out, which is nice. So Delmise kills Bulu with Anchor Shot, which is great. And now basically it's Jolteon and Milotic versus Bulu, Gator, and Victini. And once I get Gator in, Gator can beat Milotic one-on-one with Swords Dances, so I'm not too concerned. He could potentially Skull Burn us, but I can just continue to Swords Dance up. And Victini beats Jolteon and Milotic at this point with like Psychic and stuff. So, also not to mention, I don't believe Jolteon can one-shot Delmise here at this point anyway. So we've got a few different options. Here comes Usain Bolt, so here comes the Jolteon. I really don't think Jolteon can one-shot me. I really don't. Not at this range. I'm Assault Vest. So I'm gonna run the calc though. 77 out of 170, or 75 out of 177. So that puts me at 42%. So I'm at 42%. And Delmise versus Jolteon. Shadow Ball does not knock me out. What if he's Expert Belt? I'm at what? How much did I say? 42%. Okay, so it's a damage roll whether E-Belt knocks me out if he's rocking that. But even if he does, I basically just go into, yeah, I mean, my play here is still the same. It's to just Earthquake. So I'm gonna Earthquake and see what he does. It's the right play. I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe I should have saved Ron Burgundy, actually, now that I think about it, to take on the Milotic. But he does go for the Shadow Ball. We'll see what kind of spread he's running, whether this does knock me out or not. It's gonna be a damage roll. And it does knock me out, so that's definitely a bummer. So Jolteon kills Delmise with Shadow Ball. And now we basically go into Victini and we click Psychic a few times. Yeah, that's the play. We just go into Victini and click Psychic. And if Milotic comes in, that's totally fine. I just sack off Victini to Milotic, and then I start setting up Swords Dances. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna click Psychic. Yeah, that's the play, man. That's the play. Basically comes down to Gator coming in. We gotta set up a couple Swords Dances, start clicking Aqua Jet. We gotta win on the one-on-one against Milotic, but we should be able to do that with Crunch. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm sure he's gonna switch. Oh, he's actually gonna just let him go down. Totally fine by me. Psyche is definitely gonna knock out the Jolteon here, so Victini picks up the kill. Victini kills Jolteon with Psychic. And now I have to make the decision of whether I just want to go straight into Gator, potentially to take some damage here, or just go for the Psychic. I think I'm just going to go for the Psychic, though. Get some chip damage off, and then allow me to Swords Dance on his Recover, and then Crunch should be about a 2-hit KO. But I'll probably go +4. Maybe I should have saved Delmise, but let's see here. If I'm +6 and I'm burned, Crunch actually is about a 2-hit KO, so it's definitely going to come down to the wire here against Milotic. But we'll see what happens. How many turns of terrain do we have? Let's see. One more turn of terrain. That's really nice. So, yeah, Thunder's not going to do a ton here, so Psyche is my play. I just got to get as much damage off on this thing as I can. So we're going to go for the Psychic here. That's going to do a good amount of damage to him, knock him down pretty low. And here comes the Scald. That'll definitely knock us out. He's gonna get some health back with his Recover and stuff like that, but now we basically are going to start setting up with, for Alligator here, go to +2. +2 Crunch does about 42 to 50. So we're gonna just basically set up and try to beat him here one-on-one. He loses Grassy Terrain, which is nice. Here comes Burst Siding, King of the Broshin, and it's time, man. It's unfortunate, because if I had my Delmise, we basically win here, so perhaps I should have sacked it off, but I'm gonna go for the Swords Dance here, and we're gonna start crunching and see what happens. It's gonna come down to whether he gets that burn, how fast he gets the burn, whether it's on turn 1, turn 2, what, but we'll see if he recovers or whether he goes for the Scald here. But we are gonna set up the Swords Dance and see what he's gonna do. It's really gonna come down to that burn. He goes for the Recover on the first turn. +4 Crunch here does about 75%. So we are just gonna go for a second Swords Dance here. And if he doesn't get the burn this turn, we're gonna be in a much better situation, because I'm pretty sure that's all he's gonna be able to do is just try to burn us. I can't get the defense drop. I think I said earlier that I get a potential defense drop, but I can't at this point because of sheer force, so it's okay. But let's go for the Swords Dance. Let's see if he if there's a burn or not. That's really it's gonna come down to that burn. He's gonna go for the Haze actually with his Milotic here, and that makes me pretty nervous. Actually, that makes me incredibly nervous, because I don't know if we can beat the Milotic without the boosts. I got a Swords Dance again, but he makes a really good team prep there, bringing Haze, Milotic, and I may actually regret my Delmise going down there, because had Delmise still been alive, we might be in a much better situation. Skull comes off, no burn. Okay, so my play 1,000,000% needs to be Crunch. I gotta go for the Crunch here and hope that he decides to go for a second Scald or something. Let's see how much this does. We'll see if he's max. That's looking like a 2-hit KO. He does go for the Haze here. So does he recover this turn, or does he Scald? That's interesting. This is going to be very, very interesting how this plays out. Oof, what do I want to do? I mean, the Swords Dance is a nice play here. The Crunch is also quite nice. The Crunch is nice, but he's going to probably recover on this turn. But if he Scalds, then I'm in a better situation. So I'm gonna go for the Crunch this turn and see what happens. Because if he Scalds and doesn't burn me, then the Crunch might be enough to knock him out. That's looking like it might be. He goes for the Recover, so we're not gonna be able to make that happen this turn. Oh man, this Stalwart here coming down at the end. Definitely a bummer that it comes down to this, because I feel like we probably should have had this game in the bag with Delmise, but yeah, I probably shouldn't have sacked it off, but that's okay. I'm gonna go for the problem is if he burns me, like, I pretty much lose. So I'm gonna go for the Swords Dance. I really have to, and just hope he doesn't burn me with Scald. That's really all I can do. Yeah, that's so frustrating, man. That's very frustrating. This is one of those matches that I feel that I mean, it's not over yet, but it's definitely looking pretty grim against the Milotic here that I think will stall me out. He's gonna Haze this turn, so he makes the play, predicting me to Swords Dance there. So, I mean, he basically is in a really good spot. I can't freeze him with Ice Punch because of Scald. I can't really wear this thing down in any way. I think I'm gonna Swords Dance either way and see what he wants to do. So he's got Scald, Haze, Recover, and I don't know what his last move is, but I don't know how many recovers he gets either. Probably more than 10, I would guess. Let me take a look. Probably more than 10 is the answer, if I had to guess. Ah, man, that's a bummer. That is a bummer. 16 recovers, man. Whew. That's a lot of recovers. So we'll see what happens here with the Scald, because I'm sure he's gonna Scald this turn. I don't think he'll go for the other thing. Here comes the Haze again, so he's just gonna continue to Haze here. He does not want to allow me to set up, because he knows that if I set up, then I have a better chance to win. So, not a whole lot I can do. I'm gonna Crunch. I basically have to bait him into letting me Swords Dance. I mean, that's really all I can do. There's the Crunch. You're gonna see it doesn't really do nearly enough. Here comes the Scald. And once that burn happens, this game's over. He doesn't get it that turn, so there's still hope for us. I got a Swords Dance on this turn, I think. Potentially predicting a Recover. Yeah, I basically need to get a Swords Dance off somehow. I don't think he's gonna let me though. I'm gonna Crunch again. Hope he goes for the Haze this time. Get a nice roll there. There's the Haze. All right, a crit. Crit actually can win the game here, I think. It'll be close, but a crit could win the game. It's gonna be real close though. He probably just recovers here. He has to recover here. I'm gonna chance that crit for the game here and just go for the Crunch. I gotta chance it. We gotta get a crit to win. And that's not gonna do it. Bring him down to red. He goes for the Recover. Swords Dance would have been nice there, but it just wasn't worth the risk. We force him to recover here. I can go for another Crunch here and potentially force him to recover again. He's gonna probably Scald this turn though. I'm gonna Swords Dance this turn. I wanna force him to Haze again. Let's see if he goes for the Haze this turn or whether he goes for the Scald. Let's see. If he Scalds and doesn't burn, there's a chance. He goes for Haze again. So good plays on his part, really just predicting my Swords Dances and setting up the Hazes. Not a whole I can do. I know this is super exhilarating here, guys, down the end. I want to Crunch this turn. Now he's in a much safer spot. I'm going to Swords Dance again. I need to get this Swords Dance up. And force him to Haze and hopefully not get burned. If he didn't have Haze, man, oh, such a bummer. I'm really surprised, actually. Let's see what he wants to do. Will he just go for the Scald this turn? Will he go for the Scald this turn? That is the question. We're gonna Swords Dance and see what he's gonna do. Does he Haze again? He does Haze again. He's just gonna keep hazing, isn't he? He's just gonna keep hazing. He knows that if he hazes, he basically wins. So he just keeps on hazing. And he's gonna just keep on getting life back with that lefties. So I'm gonna tell you guys there is a way that I could potentially win by stalling out the timer here. I'm not going to do that because that's not how I'm interested. I'm not interested in playing that way. But I could potentially stall out the timer every turn and then fire off one final Crunch at the end and actually potentially win if he doesn't burn me at any point in time. So I could do that. But the second he gets the burn, the game's over. So it's really, and he may never get it. I mean, it's 30%, but I could play the timer and actually win on the timer. But I'm not gonna do, I mean, I guess maybe if he just recovered, I wouldn't potentially win on the timer, but here comes the Haze again. So we actually we get that one right. We predicted that one. But now is the question, does he Haze this turn or does he recover this turn? I think I gotta Crunch this time. Again. I gotta just keep the pressure on. I would love to go for the Swords Dance, but I gotta Crunch. And we get a good damage roll there. There's the Recover though. So there is the Recover. And that just keeps putting him at such a high amount of health. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. Let's see, what can I do? I mean, I want a Swords Dance, but I gotta Crunch. That's really all I can do, because he's just gonna Haze. I got a Swords Dance in the turn where he recovers, I think, or Scalds, but there's the Crunch again. Here comes the Scald, so he felt safe enough to Scald there. Will he get the burn? There it is. So that's gonna be that, guys. We're gonna tip our hat to our friend here. I'll fire off one more crunch, but if we don't connect and crit, then we pretty much lose. I'll go for a Swords Dance just out of curiosity here. He may just continue to haze, but I'll go for one Swords Dance just in the off chance that he allows me to get it off. If he doesn't haze here, there's a chance I can get a Swords Dance off, crit through it, and knock him out, but if he hazes here, we lose. So I gotta give good props to my man John there. He goes for the recover, so I don't think we can knock him out from full here with a crunch, but we have 2 chances to crit, so we'll try the double crit chance here. Maybe we'll get super duper lucky. But I gotta give props to John. He hung in there. He prepped this Milotic very well. I'm a little disappointed in myself, though. I really felt that I could have won this match. I felt that I was in control for a lot of the match. I'm a little bit bummed about the end there, because had I saved Delmise for the Milotic, I think I pretty much just win by going for a very simple Power Whip. But you know, that was my own fault. I should have sacked off my probably my let me think about that. I probably should have sacked off my Gator, honestly, and just went into Victini, had Victini knock out the Jolteon at that point in time, and then basically have my Delmise in the back to take on basically the rest of the 2 Pokemon. But you live and you learn. I'll go for another Swords Dance here again, trying to see if I can potentially get this this big crunch off here, like a crit crunch through the burn, but if he hazes, I lose. Like I said, if he just continues to haze, he's gonna recover again, so he's just making the super safe plays here. I don't really blame him. Such a terrible way to end this match, though, and not exactly the way I wanted to start my season, but it's all good, guys. I'm not too stressed about it. Like, it is what it is. I think I've lost like the first match of every season for the last like however many seasons. It always happens that way, but I need this super crit right now, or I need a crit and him to go for haze. And then I crit again, but we're not getting it that time. He goes for the haze again, so this is over, guys. I could have timer stalled and potentially try to win that way, but again, that's not really my cup of tea. Not really interested in doing that. So it is what it is, guys. At this point in time, I am going to probably just run, I think. Do I want to run? I don't really think there's any way I can win. I'll fire up another crunch here. Haven't gotten any crits with this. We had a chance there at one point if the crunch crit, but I'll just let him get the satisfaction of knocking out my Gator. It's not really a big deal. Yeah, you see just how little that does. He hazes again. And man, that's a bummer. That's a tough way to lose, not being able to take out a Milotic here and being stalled out by haze recover. But it is what it is, man. It's a legitimate set. He ran the haze for the reason. He probably was ready for the Gator, expecting me to set up. I was thinking this whole time that I was going to be pretty safe to set up here, but that was definitely not the case. We'll go for one more Swords Dance as a final hurrah here on the off chance that he goes for a Scald here or something like that, and I can live the Scald plus the burn. Let's see, he's gonna go for the recover. So yeah, man, it's just, and of course it's Tom Brady that we're facing. Of course it's Tom Brady coming back in the 4th quarter here and in overtime, essentially, with 6 minutes to go, man. We'll get one more crunch off for a final hurrah here on the off chance that I can get the biggest crit you've ever seen. We need like a Gen 4 crit where it was like double damage if we want to win this. Maybe if I crit and he hazes and then I crit again, maybe. Just maybe, but at this point, if he Scalds, I think he just wins. But we'll go for that big crunch. That's not gonna do anything. Here comes a Scald. This should just knock us out. And we go down to Milotic Scald. So Milotic kills Gator with Scald. And that's gonna be game, guys. Show some love to my opponent, John. Big props to him for picking up the 1-0. Tough loss for us, man, especially how it ended, guys. Not exactly the most thrilled about how it ended, but it is what it is, guys. It's competitive Pokemon. Props to him for prepping for the SD Gator. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this battle. I'll catch you guys next week. For myself and the rest of the St. Louis Rampardos squad, my name is Dan. I'll go by aDrive. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.